I made a video talking about if Shang-Chi has the best hands in the Marvel Universe, then we need more showing of that instead of just telling of that. If we're speaking in terms of pro wrestling, he needs to be booked like a single star and have a good singles run. We need more championships with him, and championships being ongoing series. Now, it could be argued that Lady Shiva is the DC Comics equivalent of Shang-Chi, but her booking has been top notch. When it comes to Lady Shiva and her title as the best with the hands in DC Comics, they don't tell you shit, they show it repeatedly. Lady Shiva debuted in 1975 in Richard Dragon Kung Fu Fighter. If you don't know who Richard Dragon is, he was the best fighter at the time in DC Comics. He's the one that trained Batman how to fight. In Lady Shiva's pre-crisis origin, she believed that Richard Dragon had killed her sister. She discovers she's a prodigy at martial arts, she trains and goes after Richard Dragon, finds out her sister's death was created by a crime boss. She's like, well, shit, and she just sticks to Richard Dragon because danger always follows him, and without danger in her life is empty. Oh, and it should be mentioned as well that she was cool with Richard Dragon, and there's also Ben Turner, the Bronze Tiger, another deadly motherfucker with the hands. Richard Dragon, Ben Turner, Bronze Tiger, and Lady Shiva, they were the big three. We literally saw that lore of these three and how dope they were come together, and the fact that they know each other and have history with each other as well. Richard Dragon told her to pursue martial arts more, and he's like, yo, maybe you should look into the spiritual side. And she's like, all right. Then she said, fuck that. And your girl became a top-notch assassin, the top-notch assassin with hands. And the lore is there of Lady Shiva. Everybody knows she's not to be fucked with. You can be nice with hands, but if you real nice with hands, if you too nice with hands, she gonna come and see for herself. Yeah, she's like that. If anybody throws a punch, a kick, a headbutt, she wants in. Her being a master assassin gives her more leeway than Shang-Chi, because she really just travels the world of DC Comics looking to scrap. When Tim Drake got the Robin mantle, Batman was like, all right, cool. You gotta learn how to fight. I'm sending you to Shiva. And what's dope about Shiva is she's really close with the Bat family. And she's like, all right, yep, I'll do it. I ain't killing nobody today. My schedule's open. And we see the lesson she instills in Tim Drake, like, yo, you're not gonna be as fast, as strong, or as, talented as your opponents, but you're smart. You're gonna have to use that. They're gonna underestimate you. Use it. My favorite scene is when Tim Drake wanted to use a bow staff, and she's like, we're going up against like killers, and you're bringing a bow. Choose another weapon. He's like, nah, I'm not trying to be a killer though. Tim got her respect. She told him like, all right, there's gonna be a time you're gonna be a good fighter. I'm gonna come back and test that shit. And she did. The only way Tim beat her was by outsmarting her and poisoning her before they met up. Which is the same shit Batman has to do because her hands are that fucking nice. If you ain't cheating to win against her, then you ain't trying. I remember when Connor Hawke debuted and he became Green Arrow and everyone heard like, yo, he's nice, and he became one of the best fighters on Earth. She went to test that shit. I forget how it spread out that Connor Hawke was nice with it in DC Comics, but I believe it was maybe a tournament or something. But either way, the word got out about him. Shiva came like the fucking boogeyman. And you never know which way it's gonna go with Shiva. She might let you live, or she might kill you. Connor Hawke's like, wait a minute. I've done so well that word has got out and about me, and now you're here to kill me? She's like, yeah, it's that simple. Shiva tells him, yo, you've had a hell of a good game. Gave her a broken bone or two as well. She's letting him know, yeah, the scars that you left on me, the wounds you left on me, those will be your legacy. Anyway, this shit's over. It's a much longer fight, and I can go into depth of it if people want to hear about it. Shiva was about to kill Connor Hawke with her patented move, the leopard blow, and Tim Drake showed up, and he's like, yo, chill. She's like, oh, you gonna stop me? He's like, nah, I know I can't beat you, but you said you owe me your life. And that's how Connor Hawke lived through that experience. Because Tim Drake saved her life with CPR. And Tim Drake's like, no, you don't owe me his life. You owe me your life because I saved you. You were dead. And she's like, you breathed life back into me. Okay, fair. Back when the Question was starting out in his career, he was just really a brawler, and Shiva was watching him fight. She didn't get involved one time. She's like, okay, because she was hired by, I think, this like crime boss or whatever, and she was just like basically studying him. And then the next time they met, she beat this man's ass. 1 page, 9 panels, and it was a fucking masterclass. She was disgusted because the crime boss had his dudes like jumping them and then like putting a bullet in his head and then dumping him in the fucking river. They beat that man down. But Vic Sage survives. Come to find out that Lady Shiva went in after him. He was dead for 10 minutes because she had to swim 10 minutes down to get him and then pull him out. He got his ass beat so badly that Batman visited him and was like, what are you doing? You out here just doing this shit for macho cheap thrills? He's like, oh, hold on a minute. No. You listen, don't do this shit for play. You need something that drives you. This man chastising this dude in a fucking bed like, nah, if you gonna do this shit, do it for real. We then see the Question going to meet Richard Dragon and being trained by him, and Lady Shiva meets him again to fight. Basically testing the theory, because Richard Dragon lets him know, yeah, she thinks she sees in you like the passion of a warrior. I think she's mistaken. Lady Shiva's like, I don't think I'm wrong. I've always heard about the Question, the series and how dope it was. reading through a bit of it, man, Dennis O'Neil was the writer. He was doing his shit, and Dennis Cowan was the artist, and he's drawn these martial arts fights way back then. You usually see a lot of them now, like, drawn out and shit, but, like, he was doing so much emphasis then in the way Shiva moved and the way she studies. At the end of the fight, she lets Richard Dragon know, yeah, I wasn't wrong about him. We get into Batgirl, and Batgirl, Cassandra Cain, she was the best fighter in DC Comics. She could look at you and know just what type of throw you were going to do or what kick you were going to try and throw before you even did it. And that's because she was raised by David Cain, and she's a daughter of Lady Shiva. This happens in the post-crisis origin, which is a reworking of her original origin for Lady Shiva. Long story short, her and her sister, they're prodigies at martial arts. She's better than her sister. David Cain is an assassin. He sees that, and then he kills her sister in order to bring out her best. She gets mad upset, goes after David Cain, and then realizes, oh shit, I am her. Hold up now. David Cain had a proposal for her. He wants to train her, bring out her best, and in exchange, she gives him a child because their kid, considering both of their backgrounds and how talented they are in martial arts and their genetics, would be unstoppable. As a matter of fact, they'd be the one above all for Ra's al Ghul's group. She agrees, bears the kid, and by the time the training's done, she's able to whoop David Cain's ass, and she sets out to become basically Lady Shiva. She's reborn after the birth of Cassandra Cain. Now, when it comes to Batgirl Cassandra Cain, she was so nasty with fighting because she wasn't trained to talk. She was just trained on fighting and violence from the day she was born. And after she killed someone, she freaked out and ran away from David Cain. But in her training, she was never taught to speak, which is why she's so good at reading body language. I think it was a metahuman that was able to do something telekinetically. I forget how, but she's given the ability to speak. And because of that, it fucks with her fighting style because she can't read people anymore. She's got to be retrained. And Batman does it, and he sees just like, damn, like, yo, she is an animal. Keep in mind, she wants to become Batman. She fucks with that symbol because he saved her from a life that what could have been with David Cain. Batman's training would have been fine because he realizes, all right, well, to get back to where you were, that's going to take some time because of your childhood upbringing. So you could do that maybe like within a year. She's like, how long to become you? He's like, 10 years. She's like, I ain't fucking with any of that shit. So she goes and sees Lady Shiva as a cheat code to basically relearn her skill, because Lady Shiva and her sister were the only ones with that skill until Cassandra was born. Shiva, she runs it with Cassandra like, all right, cool. This isn't some sweet mother-daughter fight. No, it's a knockdown, drag-out fight. And she realizes, oh, this girl has a death wish. I'll fulfill it for her. And she kills Cassandra. Then uses a tea to bring her back to life. And it's like, all right, how was it? That life Cassandra took as a kid on her first assignment as an assassin, it always stayed with her. But now she can kind of like be cleansed of it. Cool, now it's time to run this shit back again. Shiva does not play or give a fuck, and they do a fucking knockdown fight. And Cassandra bests Shiva, and they're laid out beside each other, tired as fuck. And Shiva's like, I'm gonna kill you. And Cassandra's like, not today. And they do meet again, and that fight deserves its own video. But to prove the point, like, if this is wrestling, right? She was booked incredibly well. She never really had her own series. Did she have her own series? I'm not too sure. I know she's appeared in other folks' books. Like, at one point, she became the Jade Canary, and she appeared in Birds of Prey. I feel like Shang-Chi and Marvel need to be booked like this. And you could say she's a villain. You could say she's an anti-hero, but she's an assassin. She's really just, she does what the fuck she wants. But, like, that lore behind her is so powerful because we've seen it shown so much in her skill and her appearing in all these different books over the years, throughout the years. We're told, all right, DC Comics, big three of martial arts, Richard Dragon, Ben Turner, Bronze Tiger, and Lady Shiva. And we saw that since 75 when she debuted. We saw how they got close with each other, how they know each other and their history, and then how they spread out throughout the DC Comics universe. We've seen Shang-Chi train Spider-Man, and we've seen him train Domino. But yo, like, he needs to get more students because Lady Shiva's been putting motherfuckers to class. And again, if this is wrestling in the booking, like, she's had an amazing singles run. Even when we've seen her in teams, it's been really great. I understand with Shang-Chi, he's a hero, so he has to be like, you know, doing good and everything like that, but you could still show him wandering to improve his skill. Because that's what they did with Lady Shiva, and it works so well with her without being a hero because she's the fucking boogeyman. She's the Baba Yaga of martial arts. Don't even get me started about the Richard Dragon series where he got revamped. My man was an old bald dude, but they turned him into a fucking heartthrob, and he went against Shiva. He also had Shiva dead to rights, then someone interrupted, she killed him, the fight got back on, then she killed Richard Dragon, but he got brought back to life because of a deal with Neron. I hate interference in a fight. Like, that was really like wrestling. Someone interfered. I'm like, I don't know if that's a clean win there. But you see like all these different fights that she's been a part of, all the lore behind those fights. And even when it wasn't fights, even when it was just like training someone. When it comes to Lady Shiva's lore, like they've always been careful to like keep it fresh, keep it relevant, updating it so that she might not have an ongoing, but you know, she's that motherfucker when it comes to hands in DC. Also, we gotta mention the hair being down to the calf is wild. Your girl do it all. She can rock the bundles and she can rock a pixie cut. Like, it don't matter. She switches forms like she switches hands. But yeah, when it comes to Lady Shiva and like being a martial arts fucking boogeyman, DC Comics has done it right with her.